Dimitria Lambda. Creed. Fucking Creed. I guess I should talk about my thoughts on all the Rocky movies. This was like my childhood. This with Aliens and the Terminator movies. I watched all these a million times. Like I never got tired of them. Watching them again, because I watched them a few years ago to sort of get like, okay, so this is what I sort of thought. First one, pretty much I'm with the crowd on it. Second one, still really good. Definitely captures the mood and the quietness and the humbleness of the first one. Third one, I think is just fantastic. His struggle with fear in that is so powerful. And that scene with Adrian and Rocky on the beach, unforgettable. Rocky 4, I thought was kind of the weakest one, but I don't think it's bad. I do think it has some of the greatest montages you'll ever see. And not even just the inspirational workout sort of stuff. That scene where he's in the car, that's one of my favorite moments like in film. And then Rocky 5, my favorite since the first one. I love watching him try to accept the truth, sort of accept reality. There's so many amazing scenes in these movies. There's like a scene where he sort of sees Mickey, and that's like some of the greatest acting in all of the movies. I'm just like, it makes me want to cry every time. Rocky 6 or Rocky Balboa, fuck that. Really good, I actually kind of enjoyed it. He didn't try to act young, he sort of kind of addressed what was going on. I mean, it's still a pretty far-fetched sort of idea that, oh, gotta get my boxing glove back on, but he sort of sells it, and I do like the person he's fighting against, so I thought that was kind of cool. We got Creed. So I didn't know what to expect with the first one because, okay, Stallone is back, but it's not directed by him. I don't think it's written by him either. Surprisingly good. You're trying to keep this franchise alive somehow. And I thought Michael B. Jordan was, you know, he could be a little whiny, but he was likable enough, and I thought the girlfriend was likable enough. And so we get to Creed 2. Creed fucking 2. Do you remember when you saw Jurassic World, the one that came out this year? Remember how you could bullet point every single scene in that movie and go, oh, that's from Jurassic Park, that's from Lost World, that's from Jurassic Park 3, that's from the first Jurassic World, that's this one. You have Ivan Drago coming back, and of course you have to pan to him and then bring the big music going on. It's like, you know, just fucking show him and just keep going. So you have Ivan Drago's son who wants to challenge Adonis Creed. It's pretty much Rocky 3, it's pretty much Rocky 2. Adonis Creed, though, I thought he was a little whiny in the first one. He is Chris O'Donnell, Batman and Robin levels of whiny. He is every incarnation of Nightwing annoying. Always is just there to be the little bitch. To just go, oh, it's because of you. Oh, it was just because of that. Ugh. Constant finger pointing, constant blaming, and constant whining about why things are the way they are, and just so jaded and pessimistic, and it's like, why do we like these people? And then the wife, I'm just, she is the female stereotype in a lot of characters that is just there to tell the male character how he's supposed to feel. With Adrian in the first 5 movies, you kind of got it that this is kind of just how their marriage worked. She was the outsider to whatever he was going through, and she was there to be like, why don't you look at it in this way? You know, look at it from someone's point of view that is kind of just looking at what you're doing right now. And you felt it was kind of natural, and their chemistry was so good in all those movies. In this one, they have no chemistry. There's nothing precious about them. They're every single cute little commercial that shows you the power of love. And that's where I get into the biggest problem, the music. It never shuts the fuck up. The score is one of the worst, probably since the 2014 Godzilla, where it is so insufferable in its presence. It's like, God, would it kill you to have silence? Just once. Every single time they cut to the stupid baby, there's always that cute little piano going, and then when they have to talk about something that is very heartbreaking and sort of bad memories, they bring in the violin or they bring in sort of the feels music. Did you see the first movie? Stallone is not acting like a 72-year-old or whatever Rocky. I think you should have dedicated a few more scenes and a little bit more silence, because that's kind of what film as a medium needs. You need some times where he can really take it in. He can be allowed to give this facial expression, give this look. That scene where he is sort of remembering not throwing in the towel, that this was a controversial thing and that he kind of blames himself for not saving his friend. They constantly talk about it. There's constantly talking. There's so much dialogue talking about that and explaining it. Whereas in the fourth one, they sort of address it in that car where it's like the montage. That was all you fucking needed. You don't need him to talk about it. He doesn't need to talk about it. In this one, he wants to talk about it, and his reactions are not supposed to be, I'm angry at this, or I'm bitter at this, and it's always in the wrong moments where he's feeling this emotion. And that's what this movie constantly does. It's so much talking, so much people in rooms just talking about what they're doing. And don't tell me that he acts like the original Rocky because he just gets his bouncy ball and puts on the hat. That's just fucking standard. When he bounces the ball in that 1 second, I just gave this to the movie. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Oh, don't you get it? We did that in the first movie. We're referencing the first movie. Fuck that. The one good thing in this movie is Victor Drago. The first fight, which is the most predictable fight you'll ever see. It's like, gee, I wonder what's gonna happen. If you've seen Rocky 3, it's basically fucking Rocky 3. So this guy is just a fucking monster. And he is a better fighter, not just on a physical level, not just in like keeping your head in the game, but just in terms of like intelligence. He knows not to react, because there's a scene where Ivan Drago sort of toys with Adonis Creed about his father, and Adonis of course reacts because he's a little priss. And the son, when he's coming at him, he just kind of pushes him out of the way, just this stone face. And it's like, okay, if you know anything about these types of sports, these sports that are based on intimidation, you know perfectly well who's gonna win. You know perfectly well who you want to root for. Okay, now I'm rooting for the villain of the movie. Great. He was the only interesting actor to watch. When Ivan Drago, like his father is sort of talking to him, you kind of get it in all of his facial expressions. All these emotions feel so genuine from him. And then there's a part where the father's talking about, our mother did sort of this for you, and then he sort of gets this kind of panicked look on his face, like, wait, you're addressing this now? Like, in the ring? And you just sort of got it, and then you don't really do much with it, and then the ending is like the stupidest fucking thing I've ever seen, trying to right this wrong. And that's where this movie so doesn't understand it. It's like the director and writer are so misguided, because Rocky, from Rocky 6 to the first Creed, you kind of felt like he is much more calm. He seems to have had to deal with a lot of acceptance. In this one, when he first sees Drago, they both seem so bitter at each other. It's like this grudge has not, subsided. It's not like in sports, like, hey, tragedies like this happen where people are killed in the ring. And then they keep playing this like blame game. And these older people, they don't feel like they can look back on it and go, wow, like, the things that happen there, the things that happen in the heat of the moment. And no, there's finger pointing again. The main basis of this movie should not have been fucking Adonis getting back on his feet and have to go through the same arc again. It should have been between him and Victor, the opponent. It should have been them sort of trying to go, there was this turbulence that has stayed within the sport over our father's history with each other. Now, what are we gonna do about it? Why don't we fight for ourselves? We can just be us. And that sort of ties into the first movie where he doesn't want to be in his father's shadow. He sort of wants to have his own name. But at the same time, it's told a little differently. It's kind of looked at from a different point of view and in a different situation. And you know what this movie should have done with Rocky? They sort of cut to Rocky 5. Remember when Mickey's like, remember when you get older, you lose your friends and you lose your family, and then you're just like, what the hell am I doing around here? Why don't you have Rocky go through that? Why don't you take advantage as a writer? Why don't you take advantage of the fact that Rocky as a person is a very decent person, so nice and so humble and warm. Why don't you have it where these people that he used to know, people in his life, this is something that happens, right? That people will start taking advantage, people will start getting distanced from you, and they sort of forget about you, your very personal relationships. And then he's sort of, you know, in his 70s now, and he's sort of like, what the hell happened to people? That would have been so much more interesting. And I think you could have made Ivan Drago this villainous person if you addressed that, if you sort of took on that little path. But as a whole, I am just amazed how they didn't get it. This is so... The filmmaking is just so fucking amateurish. The way it's shot, there's no sense of using wide shots. Everything is, the closest you can get is probably this, and then the rest of it is like people talking like this, and they cut every 3 seconds. Kind of a strange thing to comment on, but what was with the dude who was tempting Adonis sort of when he's watching his girlfriend's thing? Is it me, or did they purposefully go out of their way to get someone who has the exact same mannerisms and exact same goddamn voice as Apollo Creed? Sucks. Fuck this movie. I was ready to walk out, but I was thinking maybe the last fight is gonna give us something. There's sort of this throwback of throwing in the towel, and I was like, are you fucking insane? Like, this is your sense of mending that wrong? Yeah, no, fuck it. Fuck it to hell. That is about it. They better throw this franchise in the trash already. Thank you for watching. Who are we? Who are you? I'll see you next time.